investigation remains ongoing, and we will pursue justice against those threatening national security by leaking classified information, a serious federal crime. The Trump administration recently withdrew similar subpoenas for journalists at the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal. My panel joins us now. Karen Finney, the White House, which is about to be feted, the president, by the White House Correspondents Association on Friday for the makeup dinner. They've been vigorously going after news organizations that they deem unfair, whose coverage they don't like, for national security issues, et cetera, et cetera. What does today's developments tell you about how they've been waging this battle?
Well, I think one of the most disturbing things is they're going after the wrong people. I mean, the First Amendment is it is the framers put freedom of the press in the Constitution for a reason. And when we are trying to flout those norms, that as this president has done on many fronts, that is a threat to our democracy. Certainly, if they have concerns about the leaking of classified information, the way to pursue that is to do an internal investigation and find out who the leaker was, not to go after the journalist who made the choice to then report on the information they were given.
Marc?
I agree with Karen. I mean, the reality is that leaking national security is a serious crime. But at the same time, I think we protect freedom of press, and the First Amendment protects a lot of our other freedoms. And so agree the way to go after is try to find those who leaked rather than going after the reporters.
Today at an event about data centers and AI, President Trump addressed the war in Iran. Take a listen.
We're doing very well against the Islamic Republic of Iran. We're doing extremely well. They would like to do something, but I say they're not ready yet. They need more of the same. They're not ready yet. They got some evil intentions.
I can't tell what's happening here or when there's any hints that anything is going to end. At this point, they're trying to get the Strait of Hormuz open. That's the big goal, and that was open before the war was launched.
Jake, I think that there's probably a reluctance to actually use the military necessary to ensure the straits are open. And I think that creates a situation we're going to continue to be in the situation where the president is looking to negotiate publicly. There'll be, I think, more kinetic action and then opening doors to negotiation. But I don't see in that path how it ends unless actually you're allowed to finish the job that was started here.
What do you think, Karen?
Well, look, the problem is that Americans don't like this war. They don't want this war, and it is becoming increasingly unpopular. Our gas prices are back up, but also just the strain of war. And I think sometimes we forget that we have a generation of young men and women who fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that is still a very real pain and wound in our culture. And so the idea of getting dragged into yet another conflict in the Middle East, where there seems to be no clear plan unless you believe that I guess it's over, but maybe it's back on again. I'm not sure.
He said on the first day that we won the war.
Yeah, or it's like 2 more weeks, I guess it's going to be for two, and without congressional approval. That people are wary of it, and wary of it also at a time when they're being told we can't do these. I mean, just look at the budget proposal. We can't do all these other things that people need to meet the basic needs of our own people. But we need more money to go fight this war and to continue to prosecute this war, that nobody can say what the plan is.
The president's other big priority, in addition to the war, is the Save America Act, his bill that would make it a little tougher, or a lot tougher in some cases, to vote, to register to vote. One of the issues in the Senate is there aren't the votes for it. There are not 60 votes to bring it up for a vote, and there aren't even 50 votes to pass it, even though Republicans control the Senate. The president is mad. He wants the Senate Republicans to get rid of the filibuster, so it's only 50 votes. By the way, that still wouldn't allow it to pass because there still aren't 50 votes. But here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt with a warning for the Republican leader of the Senate, the Majority Leader, John Thune.
The president spoke about this directly yesterday. His patience is running out. He wants to see as much of the Save America passed as possible by the August recess. The House did its job. The Senate needs to do its job, too.
On the Hill today, Senator Thune, the Majority Leader, said this to reporters about Leavitt's comments, quote, well, maybe she or somebody else ought to get on the phone and get the votes, right? It's 50 around here. So instead of, pointing the finger at Republicans, they might think about going after the people who are stopping on the floor, which is the Democrats. It's not just the Democrats, I should note. I mean, Lisa Murkowski, there are enough Republicans to stop it. What is the likelihood, you think, that this will pass before recess?
Zero.
Zero, yes, that's correct.
I think there's a small...
That's the right answer. And your prizes are...
I think there's a small chance that post-election in a lame duck, it could happen, but I still wouldn't put a lot of confidence in that, Jake, for the reasons you said. I'm sitting here as a supporter of the SAVE Act. I believe you should have voter ID. I believe you should be able to prove citizenship. But the very senators that you mentioned are holdouts are the very ones the president himself has personally attacked, from Murkowski to Collins to McConnell to Cornyn to Tillis. And so when he blames John Thune for not getting them on board, they're the very ones that he is going after. And so he's created a big obstacle to actually get the most prized legislation PC wants right now through the Senate.
Can I just mention, though, I feel for the Republicans because Democrats were in the same place in 2021. You guys are old enough to remember
the
when,
John Lewis Voting Rights Act, you guys
correct,
followed,
and
yeah.
it was, Kyrsten Sinema, and you had Joe Manchin. And look, we got to a point when it comes to voter ID, you had, Stacey Abrams and you had Clyburn and Barack Obama on the same page about when it came to voter ID. We couldn't get a deal. The concern constantly, though, from Democrats is it's got to be broadly available and it has to be free because what consistently happens.
A voter ID.
A voter ID, meaning
right.
that, because this will impose costs on people to either go and get the ID or to get have to go wait in line to get the documents that they need to get the ID. But I do think there's another piece. I know Republicans want to talk about the SAVE Act like it's just voter ID, but it's more than that. Because remember, there's also a provision in there that would force the states to provide the federal government, the Trump federal government, with sensitive voter data that they want. And they're trying to sue to get it right now from the states. They've lost 16 times in court. Mm-hmm. These are Republican and Democratic governors and secretaries of state. So when we hear that the SAVE Act is about voter ID, it's about a lot more than that. Yeah. That's a big part of
all
why
of that's not in the reconciliation bill. It's being argued, or it's in the reconciliation bill. It's still would be funding to the states to ask them to try to comply with some of these provisions.
Mark, just quickly on the filibuster, because Trump wants them to get rid of the filibuster. Former Republican Senator Ben Sasse, who I'm going to talk about in a second, he penned an op-ed for the Wall Street Journal entitled "Americans Need the Filibuster." He writes in part, "When partisans talk about killing or reforming the filibuster, they're saying they want to turn the Senate into another House of Representatives. That would be a tragic mistake. The filibuster prevents the dramatic pendulum swings that are the natural result of simple majority lawmaking." Do you agree?
I look forward to your interview with Ben on Sunday night. He's a dear friend of mine, and he's a courageous fighter. I'm not probably somebody that's sacrosanct on the filibuster. It was not in the Constitution. It's a rule in the Senate. And I think a lot of senators who are typically moderates have hidden behind the filibuster because they can say to their leader, hey, look, you don't need me on this vote because the threshold's 60. It's not 50. And so if you actually change that rule, I think you might find members actually voting their conscience more.
All right. Thanks to both of you. Really appreciate it. A red alert in Trump's war with Iran today. The price of oil topped $100 a barrel. The new escalation driving this surge ahead.